Okay, so by now we have created a small website. All it says is hello world, and this is my page basically. It's just a very simple HTML file. We did all of that within the github.com environment. We have access to a directory where we can create files, we can do directories, we can do all lots of stuff. We can commit files and get them published. In this case, this repository, username.github.io, is basically presented as a website in the username.github.io URL. Now, this is all great, it's fine, and you can keep on using this as your main editor, just editing, opening up files by selecting what you want, the index.html, and clicking the edit this file icon, and use the built-in editor in GitHub to keep on publishing. What we want to do though is use another software instead. We have already downloaded and installed Atom, be it on your PC or your Mac. I'll go back, even though I made a change there, I'm just going to ignore it, go back into my repository, which is github.com/itse1411, that's my username, and then the username.github.io is the actual web page that we can actually see the end result in. Now, here, I want to make sure that I am in the repository page, the one that I read just now, because I want to select all this and copy it. I'll right click and copy. You could press Control C, Command C on a Mac, and then open up your Atom software. In mine, I have a shortcut that was left behind on my desktop. I can double click on that, or in Windows just type in Atom and open it. And there's Atom, like it looked before when we first installed it. Maybe yours is a little bit different. Mine has a welcome guide that I can open. It's got a file that it wants to open. I'm going to close that one so that I can see this other menu on the side. And I'll open up my web page here just to guide me in what I'm doing through. I have a license file that has the MIT license verbiage there. I have readme.md, which is a markdown site, or rather a web page, and then I have the index.html, which is my index page for my website. In my Atom, I have nothing yet. I have nothing. So on the right side, I see that I have can open a project. I don't have any projects to open locally. Atom works in your computer, so it's going to be local files only. I'm going to close this welcome message, just give me more space. But this welcome guide I definitely need, because although we're not opening a project, we are going to use version control to access GitHub using Git. Although Git is at least not installed in this computer, as far as I know, I do have access to GitHub because GitHub is online. I'll ignore all of the next stuff and just directly click on version control, and it gives me a couple of options. One of them is to open the Git panel. I have not told you to install Git, although that could be possible later. But we can open the GitHub panel. And the panel opens on the right side, and I get a couple of options. I can create a new GitHub repository, which would be fine if we were just starting, but we already have one created, remember? That's the one that I copied over here, or at least copied the URL when I was there. I'll copy it again just in case. And the second option tells me that I can clone an existing GitHub repository. So basically copy it from GitHub. I'll click on that, and I'll tell it to clone from. I'll dump in by pasting what I just copied so that it goes to my website and knows that this is the GitHub repository that I'm interested in. My directory is automatically selected. Basically in Windows and also in your Mac, it would go to your users folder, whatever your username is, and then add a GitHub folder. And inside of there, create a new folder that's got the same name as your URL, the one that you're publishing to. Once this is all set up, click on Clone, and it's just basically accessing your site online and bringing it down locally. if I were to look in the local directory, and in Windows I can do that by clicking on the File Explorer and waiting for it to open, and there it is. And it's in this PC, it's in my local disk, which is C:, and inside of there's the users, and the users there's me, and here there's a whole bunch of other stuff that that I have, but I'm interested in the GitHub folder that it created. And here's the my username.github.io folder, and I see now that I have locally an index file, I have a license file, and I have a readme.markdown. I'll double click on the index.html, which is my site, the one that I've already created, and it will open it up in my default client. In this case it's Chrome, and it's showing me that it looks the same as it does online on my username.github.io account. Locally this file now exists. More importantly, Adam knows that it exists there. On the left on the project that's created, I have my index page. If I click on it, it will show me right away that this is what the code looks like. By the way, if your text doesn't look as large as this one does, you can press Control plus, Control minus to control the size, Command plus and minus on a Macintosh, and it shows me the license, shows me the readme.md account. Coloring will be very important in looking at your files. You later on, if the color looks different on mine, it's because I changed the setup a little bit, and I'll give you some guidance on how to do that later. So hello world. Notice how, by the way, also that the files open right away just as I click. I don't have to go and open them. Basically, since it's a project, it kind of assumes that you always want to keep them open, and that's cool. So it changes from file to file just instantaneously. Let's make some changes to index.html. I'll add a line after that second line, and just put in another paragraph and say now I'm using Adam. For example, you can type in whatever you want. All of this will be deleted soon enough. And how about the readme.md? Also here I'll add something. Because it's a markdown, I don't need to add any additional coding. I'll just say that I am editing with Adam at the end. Okay. Unlike GitHub, which would ask me to commit the file, I need to do other things working locally. And I can do different things locally. For example, I can go to File and tell it to save this file, or save all, save everything that's been changed. So click on that to save all. And now my files are saved locally. So this local file that's open, if I were to reload it, it would show me that changes have been made. This is my page, and now I'm using Adam. However, the online file is still the same as it was before because it hasn't been pushed. I need to commit it and I need to push it. Before I think about doing any of those things, though, I need to log in to GitHub. I have a GitHub account, so I'll tell it to log in, and it says visit this page to generate a token. So I'll right click and copy. Can I do that? No, I'll just click on it so that it goes straight there. And I'm already logged in, which is awesome because now I don't have to bother, typing in the password and all that. I can tell it to authorize Adam, and it's going to give me a token. There's the Octocat. There's the token. I can copy the token and go back to Adam and paste it here. Press Control V to paste, Command V on an Apple, and log in. So now we're logged into GitHub from Adam. I have saved the files here. However, going back to the pages on GitHub, and even this one, this is local actually, that stays the same. But if I were to try to reload, you'll see that it's still the same stuff. My index.html that I made changes to locally still looks the same as it did before. So it's not an immediate thing, although we can open up everything and look at it as if it were all in one thought. Everything happens at once. But below here, it's telling me that Git has two things that have changed. So I'll click on that. It gives me a little bit more information. It tells me that there are unstaged changes in my project. So if I click on readme.md, I made changes to it. It shows me the original text, and then it shows me what has been added in green here. I am editing with Atom is new. If I click on index.html, it tells me that I now have a new line that says now I'm using Atom. So great, these are unstaged changes. So we need to stage them, is what this means to me. So how do I do that? I can double click on, let's say, the index page, double click it, and then it staged that one. I could have also clicked on stage all to make sure that everything is applied to all the files. So I'll do that since it's only one left. And now the files have been moved from the unstaged area rather, to the staged area. And they're ready to commit to the server. Before I do that, though, I have to give it a little bit of an explanation of what we're doing. I'll just say first commits using Atom and tell it to commit to the master branch. And so now it's got a commitment command. Now they're ready to be taken over to the server. This will not happen automatically just by committing as it did in github.com. Instead, I have another message down here that you see the number 1 there. It says that there's one commit that you can push. So I'll click on that, tell it to push, and it's pushing from the local files to the GitHub server. And this will probably take about as long as it did before. I waited those 30 seconds to a minute. So I'll go in first to see in my github.com account to see what's going on. I'll click on reload, and it tells me that 1 minute ago, actually this was pretty quick, my page, my readme.md, which is just a markdown file, now has my comments as I'm editing with Atom, and my index.html has also changed. It's got the new code. So if I were to go into my website and reload it, and now see that I have a new page with the changes that were made in Atom. So now I've done this, and the next time that I want to not only make changes to this index file, but even create new files, create folders, and just take care of my website. So to complete this assignment, I'm going to need you to do this for me. Your index, license, readme are already there, and everything is inside of your root folder in github.com and in your local folder here. Let's create a new folder. I'm gonna, rather than just clicking, I'm gonna right click. This is your root folder here, your ITSC, well, mine is your username.github.io. I'll right click there and tell it to create a new folder. Because this is early on in the semester, I'm going to call this one week 01. Press enter, and there's a new folder called week 01. For this particular class that I'm creating this video for, there's 8 weeks. So I'll right click on the root folder again and create another one, another new folder, and that's going to be week 02, and so on and so forth until I have 8 files, one called week 1, another one called week 2, and so on and so forth until there's 8 weeks, week 01 through week 08. And I paused and I did all that to save you the boring process, but basically I just did the same thing, create a new folder, and then added 2 through 8. One thing that you may or may not have noticed is that since we're just creating all of these folders, there's no real files there to weigh, I guess, enough in the mind of Atom to say, well, you have made all the significant changes. So in order to get things going, I'm going to go to week 1. And I'll tell it to create a new file inside of week 1. So it says enter the path. It says in week 1, what do you want? I'm going to create index.html, and press enter, now I have an unstaged change on the right side. And rather than repeating that every time, I'm going to click on index.html, and I'm going to either right click and tell it to copy, or use the Control-C shortcut, Command-C on your Mac. Then press on week 2, press Command-V to paste. You could also right click. Okay, so then I can just keep on pasting on week 3. Press Control-V. Control-V on all the other weeks. So week 1 has an index page, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have a 6. Somewhere along the way in the editing I deleted 6. Let me create a new folder, and actually that'll just and that should be actually way up here on the root. Just say root new folder week 06. Hopefully you already have a week 6 and didn't commit the same error that I did at some point. I can paste my index in there as well. So now if I see, I can use these tabs on the left side, those carrots, to open up and show me more content. Now on the right side, I see that I have all of these unstaged changes. This would be a good opportunity then, although they're all blank, to stage them all. They're all staged, and now I have 8 changes in my Git below here. I'll click on, I'll commit the message saying added index. Actually, I added weekly folders and index files. Tell it to commit to the master. And once that's committed, I now have the option below to push. And since I'm already signed in, I expect that I can just click it and wait for it to push. While it's pushing, I'm going to check my local folder here and notice how I have all of those folders created week 1 through 8 with index files inside. It's a lot easier to get to all of those folders in GitHub. However, you could have made all the changes or made all the corrections and addition of files here as well. But I think if we just stick to Atom, everything should be fine. I'm going to go into my GitHub account, and I see now that I have week 1 through week 8 created. So for this assignment, I need you to get this URL, the one that shows you the github.com/your username, and then the GitHub URL for your website, and turn that into the comments. Make a comment and say, you know, that you've created all the directories, so that when I go and see it, I'll see that you have all of these week 1 through week 8, and they all have an index file inside. Like I said, these are empty, and that's fine, but we do have now the space to get your work done for the rest of the semester.